Hello, and welcome back to another video in EssayMaster's Medical School Essay course. Today, we're going to talk about the personal statement essay. No time to waste, let's get right to it. So, as a reminder, your personal statement, more than any other essay, is your chance to show the reader why it is all but necessary for you to attend medical school. By the time the reader is finished going through your personal statement, there should be zero doubt about what you want to do in the future. With that said, knowing what to write can feel like a daunting task. After all, in the primary app, you're generally not given very specific instructions. So how do you get started on the personal statement? Well, simply enough, just knowing what to brainstorm will be a great starting point. You can start with the seemingly obvious question, why do I want to become a doctor above anything else? The thing about obvious questions is that they serve as the best starting point, a place to ground your search for the right topic. The key here, however, is above all else. You may want to help others, but there are plenty of fields you can get into in which you can help others. Why be a doctor above all else? Next, you can ask yourself what aspects of medicine most compel you to contribute. Though you'll want to still keep the focus on you, this question can still guide you in the right direction. Finally, think about what events created a turning point for you in wanting to become a doctor. Maybe an illness of a relative or witnessing something during a shadowing experience did this for you. While it's understandable to be concerned about choosing a cliche topic, remember this is just brainstorming right now, and we'll get to how to avoid that in the do's and do's nots, starting right now. First on your things of to do, ground your story in specificity. A dying grandparent, yes, is cliche. A dying grandparent who could not go to the hospital because of financial concerns and who suffered through very specific symptoms, that is not cliche. By grounding your story in the nuances and the details, you solve this problem and avoid becoming too generic in your writing. Next, pick what matters to you, but not necessarily what comes to mind first. Too often, we see applicants writing what they think, quote, sounds good, but that's how you oftentimes wind up with a generic cliche subject. Pick what matters to you, but make sure you do your due diligence and go through about 5 or 6 options first. And finally, draw the reader in with a powerful introduction, but just make sure it ties into medicine, or else you'll leave the application committee wondering if you're actually interested in medicine or just doing it for different reasons. So, with that said, let's provide a good and a bad example of an opening paragraph, a body paragraph, and a closing paragraph. We'll start with how not to write an opening paragraph. This one says, I love music. Whether I'm listening, playing, or composing, I love when it sounds nice. This love has since translated to medicine, whether I'm studying, practicing, or watching someone else provide medical care. Now, if you're thinking this is overly simplified, there's no way anyone could write like this. Unfortunately, we actually do see a lot of people write like this, even for top tier programs. And we'll tell you why it doesn't work, and there's 3 big reasons. First, as you can probably guess, this is pretty boring. Even knowing that this is an exercise, it's still a struggle to read, and it's because there's no detail, and second, there's no story. What type of music? Where is this interest in music going? And finally, because it lacks these things, it's not clear how this translates to a love of medicine. Just because you say it does, as this writer does in the last sentence, doesn't mean that that actually gets conveyed. You need to show, not just tell, how music translates to medicine. Now, with that said, here's how we can write a good opening paragraph. This one reads, although recollection of one's birth is a biological impossibility, I clearly recall the situation surrounding my second birth into a sterilized hospital room. I, however, was not the focus of the second birth. The patient was M.W., a Parkinsonian patient who was about to undergo a neurosurgical procedure to eliminate his involuntary tremor. Well, first of all, this is just a fantastic opening sentence. I clearly recall my second birth is something that demands the reader continues to understand exactly what the writer means. This is how you capture the reader's attention. Furthermore, details like the patient's having Parkinson and having a neurosurgical procedure suggests a gripping story that's to follow. And while it may seem pretty obvious, given that this is all medical related, we can exactly see how this will lead to a career or a desired career in medicine. Once you get to the body of your essay, though, you can't let up on the quality, as is the case here. It reads, when I took molecular biochemistry my senior year, I realized I wanted to pursue medicine. This course made me aware of the perils cancer posed, and I asked my professor how I could make a difference. He recommended becoming a doctor to battle such disease at the front line. First, if your motivation is coming from a senior year course, and additionally from a professor recommending it to you, that's a sign that you may not want to be a doctor above all else, as we said earlier. That's not to say that you could never say a senior year course or a professor's recommendation encouraged you to pursue a career in medicine, but you need to really strongly show why you do want to go to medical school. And since this essay has no real further details, that does not happen here. Also, we don't know what the student is building towards specifically in medicine. It could be inferred that they want to be an oncologist, but the detail is just so lacking in this paragraph that it makes it difficult to be sure. On the other hand, this body paragraph works well. Here it says, she let out sobs throughout the exam, and I wondered if she sensed her own insidious rate of decline. When the test results returned positive for prion disease, there was nothing more we could offer for her. She passed away in months. By shadowing attending physicians, I felt amazed by life-saving therapies and disappointed when science fell short of a cure. Both of these feelings are strong motivators for me to pursue translational research. First, this is really powerful stuff, and it's obviously pretty emotional to read. It's very obvious why this translates to a career in medicine. And finally, there's pretty strong evidence of her skill and her competency in her work, with her constant shadowing and her ability to reflect both on the positives and the negatives of her experience. When it comes time to end your essay, this can actually be pretty difficult. As a general rule, we like to say, bring it back full circle to the opener, but doing that is obviously easier said than done. Here's how not to do it. In conclusion, having shadowed 2 different doctors and done research in my school's biophysics lab, I feel ready to attend medical school. I will become the best doctor possible and help save lives. I look forward to this opportunity to make a difference. First, just like our introductory paragraph, this unfortunately has a lot of boring statements. In conclusion, best doctor possible and help saves lives. While you don't want to emphasize the entertainment factor, let's call it, you still want your writing to be interesting. This is just really a slog to read, and it's going to make a bad impression for your schools. Since there's no evidence of a story, the motivation feels quite weak. And once again, we don't know what field of medicine this student actually wants to go into. So we're kind of left with questions about if the student truly wants to go into medicine in the first place. On the other hand, this is how you end an essay. Quote, I will always remember being a young girl, terrified and unsure of what to do in the face of severe dementia. I never want to be in that position again, but I know that there will be many times when I meet the same fear and uncertainty, faced with a far more critical decision. The road ahead may be long, but I cannot wait to apply myself further, finding fulfillment in the challenges of becoming a doctor of medicine. Here, we come back to the opening anecdote in this first line, and because we feel the applicant's emotions, it feels really authentic. Essentially, there's no doubt that this person wants to become a doctor of medicine. That it was also able to do so in such a short amount of words really speaks to the quality of this essay. So spend some time on your personal statement. After all, it really is the most important essay of all. But once you're confident about it, come back to the next video and we'll discuss how to address your activities list.